Democrats are seeing it. I got a call today. Guy said, you know, we really do need the wall. When he sees those people pouring up, you got to have a wall. If you want to secure our borders, support our law enforcement, and stop catch and release and all of the other things I just spoke about, go out and vote Republican. Do it now or do it on November 6th. If you want America to endure as a sovereign, independent nation, go out and vote Republican. And if you want high-paying jobs, rising wages, and a booming economy, then go out and vote Republican. In less than 2 years' time, we have created over 4.2 million new jobs and lifted over 4 million Americans off of food stamps. They said that was impossible. We've added 600,000 new manufacturing jobs. Remember, the previous administration, I won't be specific, but let's say the head of the previous administration. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Remember, he said, you can't have manufacturing jobs in this country. You need a magic wand. Remember the famous? Well, I guess we found the magic wand. Best jobs there are. The best jobs there are. And manufacturing confidence just today hit an all-time high in the history of our country. Economic growth last quarter reached 4.2%. Remember, 4.1, then elevated to 4.2. They said that wouldn't happen for years, and we have another great one coming up. And we have an interest rate climate. We don't have a climate where we had zero interest rates. Give me zero interest rates for a little while. You want to see numbers, but we're being conservative. Hispanic American median household income, Hispanic Americans, think of it, median income reached an all-time high. Hispanic American poverty has reached an all-time low. And Hispanic American home ownership recently hit its highest rate in much more than a decade. African American, Hispanic American, Asian American unemployment has reached the lowest level ever recorded in our country's history. And women's unemployment just fell to 3.6%, the lowest rate in 65 years. Earlier this month, I announced that we are replacing the horrible NAFTA deal with an incredible brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA. And that's a great deal. Our farmers are happy. Our manufacturers are happy. You're not going to have companies leaving for other countries. Very important part of the deal. I said, I don't want our companies moving to other countries, firing all their people, making the product, and then putting it in with no tax and selling it back to our people. Not going to happen. That deal totally takes care of it. Not going to happen. No more. No more. We lost 35% of our automobile business in a short period of time. NAFTA was a disaster. That's why I refused. They wanted to call it NAFTA, too. I said, I don't want the name NAFTA associated with what we did. It's a great deal. Bob Lighthizer, so many people worked so hard on that. We've taken the toughest ever action to crack down on China's abusive trade practices. We've also made a deal with South Korea, the new trade deal. It's a great deal for our farmers, our manufacturers, everybody. We've taken bold action to reduce the price of prescription drugs. Americans should not be forced to subsidize lower drug prices in foreign countries while paying the highest drug prices ever in the history of this world. We've gone through the process. It's a statutory process. I'm very soon finished with it. Drug prices will soon be plunging. Watch. Secretary Azar, great job. To help critically ill patients get life-saving treatments, we just passed Right to Try. Do you know what that is? That's a person who's very sick, they're terminally ill. They want hope. They want to be able to get something. We have the greatest medical people in the world by far. We have the greatest things under research. And what happened is people would be told they're terminally ill, they have a big problem. And if we had a drug or we had a treatment that gave great hope, that looked promising, we couldn't even come close to letting them use it. And for 44 years, they've been trying to get this done, where if somebody is really sick, terminally ill, and we have something in the pipeline that looks really good, we're going to let them use it now. It's called right to try. Because I know people that traveled all over the world looking for hope. They were looking for hope. And now they sign a simple document, and they go out and they get it. And by the way, this was signed 3 months ago. We have had tremendous results already. And you know, one of the other things, John, because John was very much involved, and Ted, one of the things that really is, it's the ultimate test, if you think about it. It's the ultimate test. But it was very hard to get approved. We got it approved. It's done. Right to try. I hope nobody has to use it. I hope nobody has to use it, okay? Stay away. But you know what? If you're really sick and they have something in the pipeline that's good, you never had a chance. Now you get it, very routinely. And we obtained $6 billion to fight the opioid epidemic, which is a big problem. And with Ted, I tell you, he was incredible. With Ted's help, we repealed the core of Obamacare, the individual mandate penalty that everybody hated, and it's gone. Everybody hated it. And we passed Veterans' Choice, giving our veterans the right to see a private doctor instead of waiting online for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and having a simple illness corrected. You'd have people that stand in line so long, they would have a simple problem, and by the time they got to see a doctor, they were terminally ill. Terminally ill. So now if they have to wait online, these are our great people. If our veterans have to wait online, they go out and they see a private doctor. We pay the bill, and we get them fixed up. And we also passed for the veterans the VA accountability law to assure that anyone who mistreats our veterans will be accountable. In other words, Jim, get out of here. You're fired. Get out. You couldn't fire these people. You couldn't get them out. They could be sadists. They could be thieves. They could do whatever they wanted to do. You couldn't fire. And for our military, we secured $700 billion and $716 billion to fully rebuild the United States military. And we are getting other countries to pay up and pay their fair share for our military protection, including NATO, where I asked to recover billions and billions of dollars. In just 2 years, I've asked NATO, you got to pay up. We're protecting. You got to pay. They weren't paying. Close to $100 billion a year we got. But they pay. We don't pay. They pay. We're protecting them. We're protecting them, and that's great. But they got to pay. At my direction, the Pentagon is now working to create the 6th branch of the American Armed Forces, the Space Force. So important. So important. Telling you. Right, John? Cornyn will get that through. See the way people love it. It's so important. It's where it's at. It's really where it's at. To keep America safe from terrorism, we have put in place the travel ban. Remember that? Recently upheld by the United States Supreme Court. Remember that? You'll never get it approved, Mr. President. Let's give it a shot. We just had it approved by the United States Supreme Court. I withdrew the United States from the horrible, one-sided Iran nuclear deal. And we have recognized the capital of Israel and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. Together, we have made extraordinary progress but we are just getting started. If you vote to elect a Republican House and a Republican Senate, we will continue to cut your taxes, cut your regulations, raise your incomes, help your jobs, take care of your medical problems. We will protect Medicare and Social Security. The Democrats will not. We will pass Kate's Law. We will stop sanctuary cities. We will stop visa lottery. We will end chain migration. And we will keep the criminal drug dealers, predators, and terrorists the hell out of our country. We will lift millions of our citizens from welfare to work, from dependence to independence, and from poverty to prosperity. For years, you watched as your leaders apologized for America. They apologized. Now you have a president who is standing up for America, and we are standing up for the great state of Texas. But to continue this incredible momentum, to protect your state and your country, you need to elect a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and you need to vote for Ted Cruz. He's a terrific, great senator. Loyal citizens like you help build this country, and together we are taking back our country, returning power to you, the American people. That's what happened. That was the greatest movement in the history of our country. What's happened? Look at this as an example. A president would come to Texas, and if they had 300 or 400 people in a conference room in a hotel, it would be considered a success. We had over 100,000 people want to come here today. Over 100. The greatest movement in the history of our country, and it's your movement much more than it's my movement. I'm just laying it out. I'm telling it like it is. From Houston to Austin, from Dallas to El Paso, from the Red River to the Rio Grande, this state was settled by some of the toughest men and strongest women ever to walk the face of the earth. This is the state where William Travis, James Bowie, and Davy Crockett made their last stand at the Alamo. This is the state where a small band of patriots at the Battle of Gonzales, armed with a single cannon, stared down a foreign army and declared, "Come and take it." Come and take it, they said. Come and take it. Come on up. Come on up and take it. Come on. Oh, what happened? You didn't want to take it. And Texas is the state where generations of farmers and ranchers and oil workers and pioneers built a life and a home with their own two hands. They didn't have a lot of money. They didn't have a lot of luxury. But they all had one thing in common. They loved their families, they loved their country, and they loved their God. These courageous Texas patriots did not shed their blood, sweat, and tears so that we could sit at home while others try to erase their legacy, tear down our history, and destroy our proud American heritage. For the sake of our freedom and for the sake of our children, we are going to work, we are going to fight, and we are going to win, 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 and going to keep on winning. We will not bend. We will not break. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never back down. We will never surrender. And we will always fight on to victory. Because we are America. And our hearts bleed red, white, and blue. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Texas. Thank you.
All right, President Trump just wrapping up his massive, huge rally in Houston, Texas, where he is out campaigning for Senator Ted Cruz and many House members in Texas. We're going to show you the best moments from what was a raucous rally tonight. Plus, we have full coverage of the looming crisis now building at our southern border at this hour. A caravan with as many as 14,000 illegal immigrants marching through Mexico, headed right to our southern border, lured by the Democrats' push for what? Lawlessness, open borders, eliminating ICE, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, free health care in California. And these migrants are just weeks away from causing what could be a massive showdown, a dangerous showdown at our border. The president vowing to block their entry. And also coming up tonight, we will break down the extreme risks and the cost that are posed by this enormous caravan of illegal immigrants. And also tonight, more examples, the latest examples of liberal, leftist, radical, democratic mob rule from just over the weekend. And we'll highlight another glaring double standard on the left. Will Democrats apply the Kavanaugh standard to Keith Ellison and demand an FBI investigation over his misconduct allegations, or Cory Booker or anybody else? Sit tight, buckle up. We have a lot to cover in tonight's breaking news opening monologue. All right, the president just wrapped up a massive rally, huge Texas-sized rally in Houston, where he campaigned for Senator Ted Cruz in his fight against Bozo O'Rourke. Look at your screen. With over 100,000 RSVPs, a colossal crowd of Texans packing into the stadium, some standing in line for over 24 hours just to get in, many tailgating outside the rally for a good part of the day. And as you can see, it was a massive event. And tonight, the president was fired up. He covered a very wide range of issues, but also issued this important warning about this looming shutdown and showdown at our southern border. Take a look at this.
A large group of people, they call it a caravan. Do you know how the caravan started? Does everybody know what this means? I think the Democrats had something to do with it, and now they're saying, I think we made a big mistake, because people are seeing how bad it is, how pathetic it is, how bad our laws are. They made a big mistake. So as the caravan, and look, that is an assault on our country. That's an assault. And in that caravan, you have some very bad people. You have some very bad people. And we can't let that happen to our country, and it's not. We need a wall built fast, fast. We have to protect our borders. We don't have borders. We don't have a country.
President is exactly right. Let me make this perfectly clear. A very serious, very dangerous situation is about to boil over at our southern border. You have a highly organized, motivated, and undocumented trove of migrants headed straight to the United States as we speak. And over the weekend, thousands of illegal immigrants, mostly from Central America, they broke through the fencing on a bridge at Mexico's southern border with Guatemala. Others jumped in the river below, swimming or floating across on makeshift rafts. And as the crowd forced its way across, many Mexican police officers, they were assaulted, some seriously injured. Now successfully across Mexico's border with Guatemala, thousands of migrants are continuing their march right here to our southern border in the United States. Now this march puts both Americans and migrants, and if our military needs to go down to the border, in serious danger. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen. Now, she issued a warning that dangerous Mexican cartels will likely try to exploit this caravan. If this is allowed to, in fact, continue, we can say for certain innocent people are going to be hurt. We cannot have that. And meanwhile, our Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, issued concerns about the political motivations, the incitement of violence by some of the caravan's organizers. Some have been caught on camera actually burning and defiling our American flag in support of, quote, the caravan. As you can see right here, two men burning this American flag featuring a painted-on swastika in front of the American embassy in Honduras. And, of course, we don't really know who any of these undocumented migrants are. Where are they from? Who brought them here? Why are they coming here? An obvious major security concern for the country. In addition to the serious safety concerns, it is so important to remember that illegal immigration carries a serious, huge, massive financial burden to this country. These migrants, they make it across the U.S. border. You, the American people, you will pay their legal costs. You will end up paying their educational costs, their health care costs. If some of them are incarcerated, you'll pay for that, too. We have spent billions and billions and billions of dollars in the last decade alone. And according to a study in 2017, American taxpayers were on the hook for nearly $135 billion in expenses related to illegal immigration. We had a wall that protects both sides. Now, the media wants to play down the caravan or use it to attack the president. By the way, this includes Univision's Jorge Ramos, who's been on this program. He's tracking the migrants in Mexico, seemingly encouraging all this. Take a look.
And something really important is that the vast majority of these people are not criminals. They're not terrorists, and they're not even immigrants. They're refugees, and as a nation in the United States, we have to choose what kind of nation we are and treat them with respect. We cannot prejudge them. We cannot say all of them are criminals, all of them are rapists. That is not true. So what we have to do is to listen to them, hear their cases, and if they deserve political asylum, then grant it to them.
He can't possibly vouch for any of these people, let alone all of these people. And we have laws, Jorge, in the United States. We are a sovereign country. Respect our laws, respect our sovereignty. We believe in immigration, but legal immigration. And without a doubt, as you can see, you have both members of the caravan, the American people. If they make it to our southern border, there will be a dangerous situation unfolding. And the president is in a terrible position. You can't have thousands of illegal immigrants rushing across our border. And Mexico must not allow this group to walk through its country unabated. If we had the fully constructed, robust wall, guess what? The risk for all on both sides would be mitigated. But here we are in a showdown once again. Why? Because of the Democratic Party. Let's see. The party of lawlessness, sanctuary cities, amnesty, sanctuary states, open borders. The people that keep telling us they want to eliminate ICE, the protection that we have at our borders. Now, perhaps Democrats tonight should listen to their own advice from just a few short years ago. This is hypocrisy on steroids and human growth hormone. Remember, they actually cared about border security, or so they said. They cared about the rule of law, or so they said. Apparently, they don't anymore because none of them are speaking out tonight. Take a look.
I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally.
Those who enter our country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law. And because we live in an age where terrorists are challenging our borders, we cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked.
Oh, they used to support Donald Trump's position. Now, sadly, these Democrats, they have moved so far radical left that what you just saw is almost unrecognizable today. It's the party of no law, no order, no sovereignty, no due process, no equal justice under the law. A party that spurs on mob rule, as we have been chronicling now for 2 consecutive weeks, encouraging incivility against their political opponents. Take a look.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Please don't just come here today and then go home. Go to the Hill today. Get up and please get up in the face of some Congress people.
Michelle says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them.
Not welcome anymore, anywhere. Get up in their face. So what we're witnessing are angry mobs of protesters doing exactly what Maxine said, confronting prominent Republicans, conservatives everywhere and telling them they're not wanted, to get out of the country. How do we know? Over the weekend, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, now for the 4th time, was harassed again, just sitting there with his wife eating dinner. And it got ugly. Take a look.
Oh, yeah? Why don't you get out of here? Why don't you leave the entire country?
Ditch Mitch!
They're going to come
I'm going to sell it to TMZ. He threw their leftovers at them? I didn't know that.
You don't belong in this country? Just prior to the video being shot, literally, the woman that shot the video said that this guy slams his fist down at the table where Mitch McConnell and his wife are eating, took their, whatever take-home food they had, threw it out the door of the restaurant. No one is safe from this angry mob, or mobs, as they're now popping up everywhere. Even former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, how old is he? In his 90s? He was shouted down. Take a look.
Henry Kissinger, on behalf of the International Criminal Court, you are a war criminal. You have committed genocide against the peoples of the world.
Throw him out! Throw him out!
You're a war criminal. You're as bad as the Nazis. You don't belong in here. I have my First Amendment rights. All power to the people. Sorry for that interruption.
Henry Kissinger, you have blood on your hands. Why haven't we mentioned killing 80,000 people in prison? 3,000 murdered. 1,000 tortured and raped because of you. Why is that not being mentioned? What about your role in Chile? What about the Chilean people? People today, people now live with the results of what you've done.
Now, everyone should disavow this kind of conduct. No person on either side of the aisle needs to be harassed like this. Our problems, our disagreements, well, we have an election in 15 days. Should be solved at the ballot box. Democrats should be disavowing this type of behavior before someone gets hurt or worse. And they refuse, almost all of them, to say a single word. Just as they say nothing about the caravan, nothing. Which brings us to our third issue, which is the growing massive double standard inside the Democratic Party. It was not long ago when nearly every Democrat enthusiastically called for an FBI investigation. Remember, the 7th investigation into Justice Kavanaugh over what we found out and knew ahead of time was totally uncorroborated allegations. But now There are zero calls for the FBI to get involved over the multiple allegations of physical and repeated emotional and verbal abuse against Keith Ellison, the number 2 at the DNC, the deputy chair, who wants to be Minnesota's next attorney general. Last night at a debate, Ellison's challenger, Doug Wardlow, confronted him over these allegations, along with his radical ties to racist anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan and others. Take a look.
There are serious and troubling allegations of domestic violence that have been leveled against Mr. Ellison by 2 different women. And those 2 different women have brought those allegations forward, and they're about conduct that's pretty recent in time. This is not a situation where it's just naked allegations. There is overwhelming evidence in the form of a 911 call report. There are witnesses. Mr. Ellison here has been associated with Louis Farrakhan, a terrible anti-Semite, for quite a long time. And Mr. Farrakhan is someone who said just a few days ago he compared Jews to termites. Keith Ellison has regularly stood up for, rallied, and raised money for people who have murdered police officers. He's a cheerleader for cop killers.
And amid these allegations, Ellison's lead in the race has evaporated. By the way, it's funny, after 8 years of Obama, there emerges a picture of Barack Obama with Louis Farrakhan, just like he hung out with Jeremiah Wright and Ayers and Dorn. Unbelievable. How did they hide that for 8 years? And meanwhile, in Missouri, Democratic incumbent Claire McCaskill, she's also dealing with some serious allegations that her husband being accused of domestic violence against his previous wife. Is she going to speak up? Remember the standard Democrats put forth in the Kavanaugh hearings 36 years later. You know what? Every woman is to be believed. Guilt by accusation. No due process. No presumption of innocence. Well, Democrats live by the same standard if it's a member of their own party. Guess what? Crickets from McCaskill. Crickets from Dianne Feinstein. Crickets from anybody on that sanctimonious Senate Judiciary Committee. The answer is a resounding no. It's not about the issue. It's always been about power and politics. So it's clear Democrats are now suffering politically from what is a huge, blatant double standard and the mob rule taking place all over the country. The so-called blue wave, well, it's now evaporating right before our very eyes, if it ever really existed. And top Democrats, they're now trying to manage expectations and play down the results come 15 days from now. Watch this.
We always knew that this election was going to be close. I don't use the term blue wave. I always talk about the need for the blocking and tackling. I always talk about the need for organizing to make sure you're leading with your values.
A lot of people talk about this blue wave and all that stuff. I don't believe it. I happen to think that on election night, you're going to find a very, very close situation.
In 15 days, 2 weeks from tomorrow, you have all the power to shock the world again. Remember, this Democratic Party of radicals, mob rule, they have no plan at all to improve the lives of the forgotten men and women in this country, the American people. They just want to oppose and hate Trump around every corner. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi even admitted that if elected Speaker, she's now planning to use subpoena powers as a bargaining chip against the president. Really? Is that going to help the American people? Is that going to create jobs? Is that going to increase our security? Take a look.
If you take control of the House, how much will Democrats use the subpoena power that comes with the majority to investigate and go after not just the president, but the administration broadly?
Strategically. As I said, it's about bringing people together. In addition to any subpoena power, and subpoena power is interesting, to use it or not to use it. It's a great arrow to have in your quiver in terms of negotiating on other subjects.
Any vote for any Democrat in any House district is a vote for Pelosi. And if 16 days from now, you don't want to wake up the morning after Election Day, 15 days from now, and hear the words Speaker-elect Pelosi, you better take it seriously, because the contrast could not be more stark and more clear. Subpoenas, endless investigations, open borders, eliminate ICE. They want to keep Obamacare. How well is that working? They're running on raising your taxes. Or do you prefer the pro-growth, the pro-America agenda from President Trump? Today, he announced plans for another massive middle-class tax cut aimed to cutting another 10% for middle-class income earners in America. It's what I've been telling you. President Trump continues to pursue pro-growth policies. He wants the nickel plan, 5% taken off the top out of every agency to actually make the country better, and we're seeing results. Cutting taxes, eliminating burdensome regulation, renegotiating trade deals, creating American jobs. It is getting real results. Unemployment now at a 50-year low. Record low unemployment in 14 states for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, for women in the workplace. Manufacturing jobs, they said, were going away and never coming back. Over 400,000 new jobs there, an all-time high. Consumer confidence is now an all-time high. 4 million fewer people on food stamps and now working. 4 million jobs created. 8 million out of poverty off of food stamps. Americans now finally are taking notice. Look at this new NBC Wall Street Journal poll. President Trump's approval rating now hitting a new high over the weekend, even surpassing Barack Obama's approval numbers in 2010. But of course, that's not stopping Barack from actually trying to rewrite history and actually take credit for Donald Trump's economic turnaround. Watch this.
Poverty was falling, and that's what I handed off to the next guy. So when you hear all this talk about economic miracles right now, remember who started it.
Are we better off than we were 2 years ago? You cast a vote for any Democrat or you stay home, that's a half a vote for the Democrat. You're casting a vote for the failed policies of Obama on the economy. You're casting a vote for Pelosi, Schumer, Maxine Waters, Jerry Nadler. Remember, Obama, lowest labor participation rate since the 70s. We had 95 million Americans out of the workforce, the worst recovery since the 40s, the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years. Under Obama, 8 years, 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 43 million Americans in poverty, 8 million more than when he became president. Stagnant wage growth. The only president in history to never reach 3% annual GDP growth in a year. The only one. The only president that accumulated more debt than all 43 presidents before him combined. If you like the booming economy, you like safety and security, you like America leading abroad, you like our Constitution, you like our founding principles, you like due process, law and order, the rule of law, well, the choice is clear tonight for you, the American people, 15 days from Election Day. Joining us now, author, brand new book, Trump, the Blue Collar President, Anthony Scaramucci. So I look at the Hillary Clinton case, and what do I see? A two-tier justice system. One for Hillary, one for the rest of us. I look at the party of no constitutional order in the Kavanaugh hearings, no due process, no presumption of innocence, the party of open borders, sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, no eliminating ICE. I look at a party that won't even condemn the mob, that has their leaders saying confront people in gas stations, create a crowd in gas stations, in department stores, grocery stores, confront them. We see that people are listening. Why do they even have a shot in 15 days is the real question.
It's because of the media, probably, Sean. I mean, I think that could be one of the main reasons. But look at what the president's doing. Even on a night like tonight, he's got a resounding, unbelievably densely populated rally. Every night when the president's out on the campaign, he's like putting them deep into their own zone. I feel like the Democrats, when the president's speaking, are on the 1 or 2 inch line, right backed up to their goal line. And so he's terrific at that. And it's way tighter. You know, the best clip that you showed, I thought, tonight was the Bernie Sanders clip where he's pointing out to people, hey, man, this is way tighter than ever before. And this is the most unusual presidency perhaps ever, because most people predict that the House and so forth goes to the other side. But the president is demonstrating that he can get the voter turnout even in a midterm election. And so I think it's going to be very close. I mean, you're not going to be surprised. Our friends are not going to be surprised. Rush Limbaugh's not going to be surprised if the Democrats don't win or don't get that blue wave.
I'm less worried about the Senate. I honestly believe if Rick Scott can win as the Senate candidate in Florida, Ron DeSantis as governor, Marsha Blackburn, Tennessee, you have Martha McSally, she can win. Dean Heller in a tight race, if he could win, which I think he can. Heidi Heitkamp is toast in North Dakota. Then you've got John Tester in the fight of his life. He could lose in Montana. And Joe Donnelly, if there wasn't a Libertarian, the Republican would be up, 9 points now. I hope the people in Indiana reject the Libertarian, because then Joe Donnelly is toast.
I agree. So, I mean,
but the House I'm worried about.
It's super close. But here's the other thing, okay? President Trump with 15 days, that's a lot of time on the clock to get his message out. And so for me, I'm not counting anything out. Look at what happened to us during the campaign. Everybody counted us out after the Access Hollywood tape, and then wham, he's the 45th president of the United States. That was only 30 days. So with 15 days to go, and, since that's like a time period, that's like almost like a mooch and a half. Hannity, you know what I'm saying?
A mooch and a half?
Yeah, like 11 plus 5, you know what I mean?
By the way, I want to applaud you. Yeah. You've captured something in your book, and we don't have time for it tonight, but it's on Amazon.com, bookstores everywhere, Trump, the blue-collar president. How he really, the people he's helping are the forgotten men and women. And that's the Scaramucci's and Hannity's.
No question. I write about those people in the book. I mean, I have clammers in my family, auto glass collision people, deli people.
Prison guard mother. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, these are people who love the guy. I mean, they resoundingly positive on him. The media can say whatever they want. The more media nonsense that's thrown at the president, the more dug in people are, like the Scaramucci's or the Hannitys. And so, liberals don't want to hear that message. They talk over you when you're trying to explain it to them. That's fine. I mean, one of the problems of writing a book like this, if the liberals read it, they'll see the president's playbook in there. And so, look, for me, I'm a huge supporter, and I want to explain to people why he won from my vantage point growing up as a blue-collar kid.
All right, Anthony, I got to run, though. Congrats on the book.
Thank
We're
you.
proud of you. You're a dear friend. It's a great book. I've read it cover to cover. Honored to put my name on it next to yours. All right, joining us now, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera. Fox News national security strategist, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Geraldo, I know you wrote a great column today, foxnews.com. I want to tell you something that I don't want to have happen. I don't want a confrontation at our southern border, because somebody's going to get hurt or worse at that border.